Everybody, Jeppy here, and today I'm searching far and wide for 3 unique facts about every agent in Valorant. My goal with this video is to try and find things that very few people know about. It could be really easy to just list commonly known things, but let's be real, that's kind of like clickbait and boring. So let me know if you guys knew any of these facts I'm about to say in this video in the comments below. Also follow me on Twitch for some scuffed live streams, and check me out on Twitter if you ever want to talk Valorant or anything like that. All right, so first up is Brimstone. Now I don't want to do just straight up like lore facts or everything, so let's just start off with something I'm sure a bunch of you may have unknowingly noticed from your childhood, but never put 2 and 2 together. So, does Brimstone's voice ever sound familiar to you guys? Well, that's because of his voice actor, Steve Blum. Steve Blum has done so many voices in like so many different games and animes and stuff, but also did you know that Steve Blum was the voice for Tank Dempsey in Call of Duty Zombies? So, if you were a big Zombies fan back in the day, you would definitely recognize his voice. Another cool fact about Brim that a subscriber Stepper brought up to me is that you know the dog tags necklace KO wears around his neck? Well, if you look real close at them, there appears to be a bullet hole in it. So, since we know KO comes from the Radiant Wars timeline where his good friend Brimstone died there, I'm led to believe that the dog tag KO wears were from that Brimstone. And with the bullet hole in those dog tags, it's kind of safe to say we know where he got shot that ultimately killed him. Kind of sad. The last unique fact for Brimstone is that one of his biggest flaws is he can't stop piling work onto himself and doesn't take a break. He accepts tremendous amounts of responsibility and struggles with letting other people help him out. We saw this perfectly demonstrated in the Die For You music video. Let's move on to Viper, agent number 2 on the Valorant protocol. First fact is that Viper is extremely alone when she isn't with the Valorant protocol. In the Twitter takeover series, I'll be referring to that a lot in this video, Raze showed us just how lonely Viper's life really is. She struggles sleeping, and every day seems like a routine drilled into her head. Does she enjoy it, or does she not prefer this way of life? What do you all think? The second fact for Viper is the early design for Viper was nowhere near close to what we got when Valorant launched. With this early concept image, we can see a person with a gas mask on. I will say the gas mask idea kind of looks similar to when Viper is in her Viper's Pit Ultimate, but other than that, it looks really different from the finished agent design. I thought that was really cool. The last fact is something that is unique to Viper because, correct me if I'm wrong guys, but we don't know any of the birthdays for any of the agents on the VP, right? Well, there is one voice line from Cypher that leaks Viper's voice line to us.
Viper, whose birthday is March 20th? I found it when, Okay. I have everyone's passwords.
So either the date March 20th is Viper's password, or Cypher found her birthday while searching her file. Anyone here share the same birthday as Viper, March 20th? Moving along, agent number 3 on the VP is Omen. So let's check out some facts about him. The most mysterious agent on the VP. Is he even a Radiant? Well, even Fade doesn't seem so sure. Remember when Fade was the blackmailer and she leaked all the dossiers all over the Valorant maps? Well, Omen's is really strange because it has an asterisk next to the classification of Radiant. Every other dossier for any other agent was accurate with human or Radiant. KO's even said cybernetic. So for Omen's to have an asterisk may lead to some possible stories down the road, making us wonder if he is even a Radiant and what really happened to him that turned Omen into the being he is today. Interesting if you ask me. Another thing that only OG Valorant players would know is that Omen used to have glowing blue eyes in the beta instead of the sort of like 3 claw-like blue lines we now see on his face. Which version do you guys like better, his eyes version or the claw version? I think the claws look really cool if you ask me. Another thing that seems obvious but I never really thought about is that whenever you're placing your smokes in game, you're in an entirely different realm. This is likely what Omen sees when he teleports around or uses his ultimate. The world looks lifeless and its only real features are different shades of shadows. That's probably why whenever Omen ults and you see him in the shadow form, he lacks so many features, then manifests into the Omen we all know. Pretty interesting. Agent number 4 on the VP is Killjoy. So I really wanted to say this for so long, but the first fact is that Killjoy plays League of Legends in her free time. It's 100% confirmed to be true. So that means that not only do video games exist in Valorant's universe, but video games that are true to real life like League exists. I believe the story of Valorant aligns with our world all the way up to the first fight in the year 2039. Then that's when Valorant's story kind of veers away from ours because clearly we don't have anything like Reyna on our Earth. Although Killjoy was originally going to be a male in the early stages of development, we have a super interesting concept art of Killjoy featuring her in kind of standard military clothing. I prefer her outlandish personality clothing choices she has now with a yellow and pink jacket. The last fact for KJ is that the world would be a very, very different place without her in Valorant's universe, because she had to quickly develop a diffuser on the spot during the Duality cinematic. They were able to stop the detonation, of course with the help of Phoenix heating up the rating core. So if Killjoy never figured out how to properly defuse the spike on the spot, anytime a Valorant Legion agent would plant a spike, there would be no way to stop it, leading to, well, of course, massive damages created on Alpha Earth. Agent number 5 on the VP is Cypher. Now, something I find very, very interesting about Cypher is his constant dedication to staying completely hidden and anonymous. Yes, now we know his name, but we have never seen his face, and neither has anyone on the Valorant protocol. Cypher is a human that lives off of stealing information, yet he keeps his identity, at least his face, an absolute secret. The VP has no idea what he looks like under his mask, and we can see that it's a massive fear for him to have his face be seen by anyone. Just look at Fade's trailer. His darkest fear is cameras seeing what he looks like under his mask when Fade tries to take it off. The next fact is, even though Cypher may seem like a good guy to most people, he is terribly awful and mean to one agent on the VP, Omen. Omen has requested for Cypher to give him all the information he knows about his past life before he is the shadow he is now, and Cypher denied him until he pays up for the information. Imagine being on the same team, fighting the same enemies, and not handing over potentially vital information to your ally that they've desperately been wanting to know just because they haven't given you a ton of money. It's kind of evil if you ask me. The last fact for Cypher is the genius invention of his hat. The neural theft ultimate ability Cypher has is when there is a recent fallen enemy nearby, he can throw his bionic hat onto the body, and the hat hacks into what's left of the nervous system. It filters through and reveals the final memories of the locations of that enemy's allies right before they died. Kind of barbaric, but super interesting how it works. Agent number 6 on the VP is Sova. The first fact for Sova is we can assume that his grandma pretty much raised him in the hostile Siberian wasteland of Russia. In the Twitter takeover series, we see him visit his grandma, and it shows just how much he loves her. She packs a suitcase with gifts, and it just seems like a wholesome experience. I guess this fact would actually be called a theory because, well, Ryan never really confirmed this to my knowledge, but I feel like it kind of adds up. Another thing that's weird with Sova that never got expanded on in this story is when he tells his comrades that he has traveled through a rift before.
Don't be afraid. I've gone through rifts before.
Bro, what does that mean? Like, what rift? Like the thing that Yoru fell into at the warship on Icebox? Also, how do you travel through them, Mr. Sova? Do you care to explain that, sir? Well, moving on to Sova's last fact is that whenever Sova isn't with the VP, it looks like he really does enjoy photography. The Twitter takeover series showed us he loves taking pictures and might be into bird watching as well, and especially taking pictures of nature. Kind of cool. Next up is Sage at number 7. What I want to talk about first about Sage is Sage's orbs may not be what you think they are. When you see her orbs on her belt, they're already there. Like, she doesn't like manifest the orbs in her hands. That's because these orbs are made out of radianite. So what it looks like to me is that these orbs help Sage do the things that she can. Yes, she can still heal, throw up walls, and put down slow orbs, but perhaps these orbs help her do these on a grander scale. Next, I want to talk about how Sage can really fine-tune to do exactly what she wants to do while healing. It looks like she has great control over her abilities because, again, in the Twitter takeover series, I feel like I'm going to refer to this a ton, and I know I will, but we see Sage heal Jett's sunburn after a long day out of the beach. Realistically, guys, if Sage wanted to, she could definitely open up a hospital and just do nothing but heal people all day. Lastly, I want to show a super cool yet scary image of potentially what Sage could have looked like in the game. Here's a model of Sage early in development. She looks far more alien-like, and I feel like that was a vibe Riot was going for while they were making concepts for Valorant, before they toned down the like otherworldly vibes and brought all the characters to look more like humans. I bet if Sage looks like this, no one would ever call you Mommy Sage anymore, would they? Well, since we don't have an Agent 8, the next agent for today is number 9 at Phoenix. Fact 1, Phoenix lives in a renovated abandoned firefighter house. That's pretty cool. Next fact is that Phoenix produces music in his free time. We can see a microphone with foam sound panels behind it and what looks like a music editing software on his computer. The last fact is that there's a particular girl that means a lot to Phoenix and his life. In the same image, we can see a blonde woman smiling in a picture next to a younger Phoenix. Now, Phoenix, at least to me, appears to be a child or maybe like a young adolescent here, and the girl next to him appears to be a woman and not like a girl around his age. Could this lead into the theory that Phoenix has two moms that's been floating around ever since Fade possibly leaked it out in the new dossiers? This could be because, again, she does look older and is obviously white, so perhaps Phoenix's birth mom is black just like him, yet is with a white woman, and bam, those are Phoenix's two moms. Pretty cool if you ask me. Next up at Agent 10 is Jett. Now, something that I found odd when all the dossiers were leaked by Fade is that Jett's name was Sunwoo Han. It was confusing to me because I distinctly remember Raze having a voice line where she said something like, Junhee, let's do what we do, directed at Jett, meaning her name prior to the leaks was Junhee, according to Raze. But it looks like Riot didn't like that name and changed it because I can't even find the voice line anymore. The second fact is Jett is a wanted fugitive in the eyes of the rest of the world. Remember the Venice incident of 2049? Yeah, the Omega jet that detonated the spike, sending half of Venice into the air, that one? Well, a security camera caught Jett's face and then publicized that image across the world's news. Remember, the public of Out of the Earth don't know that alternate universes exist, like Omega Earth, for example. They don't know about the lookalike Omega agents, so they all believe that Jett is an extremely dangerous and hostile Radiant. The last fact is we can kind of get an estimate on how fast Jett is when she dashes around and runs with her Radiant powers. With this voice line from Brim,
Jett, remember to stretch. I don't want you to sprain an ankle at 90 miles an hour.
We can determine that Jett can reach at least 90 miles an hour when sprinting. Wow. Agent 11 is the queen herself, Reyna. Now, as heartless and monstrous Reyna may seem, she has a soft spot specifically for Radiance. Again, thanks to Fade and the dossiers she leaked, Fade talks about a sanctuary Reyna created for people and children to escape the kingdom's watchful eyes. Reyna feels like Radiants are suppressed, so if there is any Radiant she feels is being mistreated or broken down, she will rescue them and bring them to her sanctuary. One thing that's super cool with Reyna is that when you activate her ultimate, so many of her voice lines change into lines you only hear when her ultimate is active. For example, when you throw out Reyna's blind called earlier, this is what she says when she isn't in her ultimate.
Cutting their vision. Still in sight.
Versus when she has her ultimate activated.
See nothing. Blindfolds.
There are so many examples of this. Our last fact with Reyna is that she has mourned the loss of someone very important to her. For a long time, we thought it was Lucia, her little sister, but she is now found to be alive, granted barely. So when we got a quick video of Reyna appearing to be very sad in what looks like at a funeral, we now have to wonder who this can be. Reyna always talks about how she has suffered so much and has been hurt so bad on this earth. She even has a voice line talking about Killjoy's machines and what they did to it before she cuts herself off from explaining more. So, who can this be and what happened to them? Agent 12 is going to be Raze. Now, one thing that not many people know about is that Raze created her boom bot by stealing and redesigning one of Killjoy's alarm bots. She tells KJ that she put explosives on it, giving birth to one of Raze's best abilities, the boom bot. I guess since we're already talking about Killjoy and Raze, another fact is that Killjoy's sentry bot got that face painted on it by Raze. KJ never really wanted it to have a face like that, but Raze couldn't help herself and did one of her favorite passions of spray painting all over it and made a pretty cute face. And another fact, thanks to the Valorant Wiki, actually I want to take a quick second to appreciate all the hard work everyone does to bring the Valorant Wiki to life. It's such a great hub to get so much Valorant information, and I use it a lot to refresh my memory on things and get the voice lines. So as I was saying, thanks to the Valorant Wiki, it looks like Raze used to dance for a B-girl crew back in Salvador, her home city. We already know that Raze loves to jam out and dance, but yeah, she used to breakdance for a group. I thought that was interesting. Our lovely criminal Breach is up next at Agent 13. Our first fact is a really cool early concept image of Breach that I bet not many of you have seen. It features him in a far more menacing way with his mask and still keeping his mechanical arms. Next, I don't think many people know about this, but we can pretty much thank Viper for recruiting Breach into the VP. Although perhaps Raze probably would have put in like a good word at some point, we do know that Viper is the one who did it.
Well done, Breach. I knew hiring you was a good idea.
Another thing I thought was super interesting is that if you played Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which released earlier this year, you may have recognized a hint of Breach's voice in the game. David Mencken, who is the voice actor for Breach, also plays Luke Skywalker in that Lego game. Awesome. Skye is up next at Agent 14. Now, something I kind of forgot about up until this video is that Skye used to fight relentlessly against the Kingdom in her home areas of Australia. She used to do everything she can against the corporations that often sees little regard for environmental concerns. Next up, Miranda O'Hare, Skye's voice actress, said in an interview a while back that during her audition for Skye, the team told her Skye's name was Emily. So that's what a lot of us thought Skye's name was going to be when Fade leaked dossiers. But to our surprise, just like Jett, Skye's name actually turned out to be Kira Foster. Another thing I found interesting is that it's been hinted at that Skye hasn't even begun to tap into her full potential of her powers. And oftentimes other agents tell Skye she won't be able to control them.
Skye, you have no clue the forces you're playing with. Oh, don't worry. You'll be dead before you figure it out.
I've seen what the enemy Skye becomes. Deal with her now. Trust me.
Agent 15 is everyone's favorite bad boy, Yoru. Thanks to the Valor Wiki, I learned that Yoru's mask comes all the way back from the Edo period, which dates back to between the years 1603 and 1867, so hundreds of years ago. I am still wondering why that mask has Reyna all inside of it centuries before the first light. I feel like not many people know about this, but Yoru is a knife collector. He enjoys collecting and playing with them and has commented on Jett asking her what type of knives she uses. I'm assuming for her Bladestorm ult.
What brand are your knives, Jett? They're not Mammoth. Segredo, maybe? I need one for my collection.
Last up for Yoru is we may know who Yoru possibly has a crush on in the Valorant protocol. Listen to this voice line when Yoru talks to Skye and you make the decision for yourself if you think he's nervous to talk to her or not.
Skye, that was... that was pretty good.
At agent number 16 is Astra. Now, right off the bat, I wanted to bring this up for a while now. It has been confirmed that Astra's powers come from her golden arm. Okay, no big deal. It's a pretty cool arm, right? After all. But why is she still a Radiant then? Chamber gets his Tour de Force Headhunter and activates his cards with the gold Radiant embedded into his face and arm. But Chamber is classified as and confirmed to be a human, not a Radiant. So does that mean for Astra, it's kind of like Sage where she is inherently a Radiant, but the gold arm amplifies her powers, kind of like Sage and her orbs? Next for Astra that I think is actually pretty cute is she has a sketchbook where she doodles things that are on her mind. Let's take a look. We can see a picture of Reyna with the words Reyna good, bad, both underneath that. Underneath that, we have a to-do list for Astra saying she needs to refine her cosmic divide, get brunch, and research nailed it. Nice. At the top right, this is pretty funny. We see she drew a pretty funny image of Brimstone with the word boomer around it. I thought that was hilarious. Last thing I want to bring up for Astra is that this is the only time I like the concept art better than the final design for the agent, especially the one on the right with the nice long hair that kind of seems like it looks like galaxies in space. I think that looks really cool. We're almost done with the video because KO comes to us at Agent 17. I did want to bring up that KO is the most militarized agent on the Valorant protocol. No other agent refers to protocols as much or uses military codes in battle to KO's degree.
Target 86. Charlie Mike, let's move. Hostile KIA. Tango down.
Next for KO, and something we just got in the new voicemail he sent to Brimstone is that his memories never fade or degrade away with time. Anything he experienced even years ago is just like he experienced it 1 minute ago. Looks like he has a very hard time dealing with issues in his past, like his friend Brim dying in the Radiant Wars. I would too if trauma I experienced years ago is just as fresh as like right now. Last for KO, and something that not many people know about, or maybe they've forgotten it, is not only did KO fight alongside Brimstone in the Radiant Wars, but Sova was there too by his side as well. It doesn't look like him and Sova were anywhere near the same bond KO and Brim had, but it's still cool to see that Sova made it all the way to the end because KO never really talked about Sova dying. At numero 18 is Chamber, my main. One thing that I think almost no one knows about is that Chamber used to be a member of the French military, then became a PMC marksman. Guess that's where he gets his love for his tour de force and aim, right? I forgot about this, but Chamber was the one that sent Brimstone Neon's information about being recruited into the VP. It is most likely due to the fact that Chamber knew about the Omega project with the Valorant protocol, trying to build a teleporter, and realized they would need a massive power source to, well, of course, power it. That's when he remembered about Neon and told Brim where to find her.
Monsieur Brimstone, as promised, I have found your next recruit. You are off the hook, as they say. Forgive me for doing your job.
The last thing I want to talk about for Chamber is, well, Chamber has a lot of money. But Jeppy, that's not fair. We already knew Chamber was rich. Yeah, I know. But just listen to this. Chamber literally lives so close to Eiffel Tower in an upscale apartment full of highly luxurious artifacts and decorations. He constantly goes on wonderful vacations, as evidenced in a few player cards. The reason why I'm saying this, guys, is because when the Valorant Protocol finds out that Chamber was involved with the Everett disaster, I bet you he'll pull the I'll fund a huge portion of the Valorant Protocol if you don't turn me in card. And something tells me he probably has the money to pull that off. He is rich. Next up is the Woman of Lightning. Chamber was just talking about Neon at Agent 19. Now with Neon, that is pretty interesting is that she used to work for the Kingdom's K-Sec division, just like Brimstone. But I wonder why agents like Breach that hate the Kingdom and give Brim hell for it don't have any issue with Neon's past with them. Maybe she keeps it a secret. I don't know. So I tried to see an estimate on how much energy Neon can actually generate at a given time, but had a really hard time with it. Remember Neon sent this voicemail to Brimstone? Even with her suit and the voltage caps, Neon can power a busy city block with like restaurants and hotels on it. I couldn't find an answer on what an average voltage number would look like for this, so I just Googled how much energy can a big power line transfer, and I got something around 765,000 volts, which is on the upper end. Now take that number and imagine how much energy she can produce without her suit on. The last thing for Neon is that we have no idea how she even exists in our world. Apparently 10 years even before the first light, Filipino scientists went to the summit of Mount Pulag after seeing a massive lightning strike hit it and a rift open up over the area the strike landed. What they found was a baby there. That baby was Neon. So like, how did this happen? This was 10 years before the first light, before Rainy Night. So what? Last up at Agent 20 is Fade. Now I first want to talk about the handprint we see on Fade's chest. We know she loves to give herself henna tattoos and stuff, but something just feels off about this handprint. Why is it there and what does she mean by it? Could it be symbolism with Nightmare leaving its mark on her? What do you guys think? Since we are talking about Nightmare, let's bring up the fact how sinister this thing is. We still don't know much about it, like Nightmare, and honestly, I don't think Fade knows everything about it too. With the way she talks about Nightmare, it's almost like she's referring to a separate entity. Of course, Fade is a Radiant, but I think something far deeper is at play here with Nightmare. Fade has even said she has paid a heavy price to commune with it, so what could that be? Her soul? Is this a demon or something? The last thing I want to bring up about Fade is kind of just a funny thing I wanted to point out. Did you guys know that she has different colored eyes? One is blue while the other one is brown. Besides Sova having like a bionic eye and a normal one, I'm pretty sure Fade is like the only agent to have different colored eyes, right? I hope you all enjoyed this video. We worked really hard on it. Hop into my live streams over on Twitch if you want to talk about any of this, or if you have any other theories you want me to talk about. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe notifications if you're new. Now with all that being said, Jeppy out!